Mr. Allen, what's happening, good sir?
No, you chilled, didn't you?
All good. Surviving the pandemonium pandemic.
Oh, jeez.
You guys were one of you guys saw it coming, eh? You closed up shop and be like,
Yeah,
we'll
we're
just
out.
wait for this to come around.
Yeah, no, we got lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
So what was the situation? You guys were right in between changing premises
Yeah.
when this kind of all kicked off.
Yeah, so our lease had come to an end, and we were deciding whether or not we wanted to renew.
Okay.
And then, we found a new spot. So we're in between new lease and the old lease. So when lockdown hit, so we're pretty lucky.
Cool. Fantastic. We'll get into the new facility and stuff. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions. They want to know what's going on. It's always exciting when a big new facility pops up, especially with some big names behind it.
And when it looks that slick.
Yeah. Slick. How hard is it to do that at this time, to roll the dice like that and really get behind a big facility?
No, it's been difficult. We've had our challenges, obviously, but at the same time, we've been kind of blessed in the sense that we can take our time with things. We've been able to work throughout lockdown, get things going the way we wanted to, sort of take our time fixing the finer details, and we still have a lot to do. Having said that, so I think lockdown wasn't just a bad thing necessarily.
For sure. And sorry, excuse my nails freshly painted.
On that Don Madge.
Yeah, on that Don Madge vibe, eh? Just paint my nail and my fingers at the same time. Do you watch your fights all the weekend? Do you still watch many fights?
Yeah,
or
I still watch all the fights.
Just dialed in, eh? Have to. What did you make of the weekend? Some pretty good fights.
Yeah, look, I thought Covington was going to take it after his performance against Usman. So it was really good, and I mean, Usman walked through Woodley.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be a tough one for Woodley.
And the Cowboy fight, bit of a weird one.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I did think Cowboy took it. Watching sort of closely with the striking, I thought that he might have just outpointed him. But they obviously gave it to the younger guy, next up and coming sort of prospect. Yeah.
And what do you make of? I mean, you had a interesting experience in Russia.
Yeah.
You know what the boys are like out there. What do you make of this Kamzat fella on the tear up?
I think he's a machine, and I think he's just going to keep proving to everybody that he's up there with the best of them.
How do you, in your opinion, how do you deal with a guy like that? How do you beat him? What are the keys there?
Sure. I mean, he's strong everywhere. We know he's got strong wrestling. He's Russian, and they all do, or majority of them. And his striking is obviously really good, and he's working hard on that. So I think you really got to play a cat and mouse game with him, make mistakes, sort of set up traps, and hopefully he falls into one.
Do you think it would take trying to think of the kind of guy, someone with like really good takedown defense and enough counter punching and power to kind of set up, like you say, set up a trap and really catch him and knock him out?
Yeah, I think it's also going to be someone that's confident to let their hands go a little bit and hopefully sort of catch him, and then, like you say, either defend the takedowns or go for their own takedowns.
Yeah.
Maybe put him on his back and see where he's at.
Very interesting character.
Yeah.
Very interesting character. It's so crazy to see, like, it's funny when you're watching sport, a lot of sport at the time, even I guess like if you watch football or whatever, there's always like a period where you're wondering where the next big star is going to come from, and then all of a sudden just like happens like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think most of us as South Africans have seen comes up before with Brave, and you saw how good he was, but I don't think anyone knew that he was going to blow up like this.
Yeah.
Like
he's taken the scene, and he's going to run with it by the looks of things.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is he just like a touch of death to a middleweight, and he's literally a welterweight.
Yeah.
I think he can actually make lightweight as well, is what he said. So that's
a very big lightweight.
yeah, he's a very big lightweight, but anyway, because he's not like a massively muscular fella, like he's just a big dude. But yeah, what a beast, and what a star. It's cool to see, because promotion doesn't always back someone like that, or like doesn't, like Dana. I was listening to Dana White explain in the press conference. He's like, this dude, like a lot of guys will be like, yeah, I want to turn around quick, but I just want to go home and talk to my family, and this looks like tomorrow is good, dude. Like literally, let's go.
Well, he just won that fight in 17 seconds in round 1.
Yeah, no injuries, good camp.
Yeah. But you know it's funny, they like book him 2 fights, and that was like the theme of fight week.
Yeah.
I sat in on the virtual media days, and that was like the question that kept coming up, and Marshall as well, they're like, he's like, yeah, it's a bit disrespectful, but he gets it and he understands, and like, but I'm gonna do this, and it's so funny, and you're like 17 seconds you got flatlined, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But at least it was like Marshall took it like a champ. He like tweets, he's like, yep, well, fuck that up. So like, that's how it goes, man. But yeah, he's an exciting fella. Are you so you still a big fight fan?
Yeah, definitely.
And how much time do you spend like watching MMA as opposed to boxing? Because I suppose not, it's relative to what you're doing, so you want to get some sort of reference points.
No, I still love the dynamic of MMA and the uncertainty of it. There's so many ways you can win and lose, so I really enjoy that aspect, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. So yeah, I watch sort of every event, every UFC that there's any other event that we can watch.
Sure.
And I do watch a lot of boxing as well, but yeah, I still love the MMA.
What is in your opinion, I mean, you're such an interesting reference point for most guys, what is your opinion on the state of South African boxing? Because I think guys inside boxing, not everybody, but a lot of guys are quite negative. They're like, this is why boxing is suffering, and these are the problems, and so on and so on. It just seems though that there is like this massive surge in boxing in South Africa. A lot of young guys coming through, a lot of like you as a crossover, a couple of other guys from MMA that crossed over, and there's this big pool of talent that's around. What would you say?
Look, in my personal opinion, I think boxing in South Africa is doing great. And that being said, there's certain promotions that make it that way. Golden Gloves is really good at what they do, and then there's other promotions out there that aren't so great at what they do. And I mean, Golden Gloves looks after their fighters properly, and that's why guys want to fight for them. They, sort of, it's like UFC in South Africa. Golden Gloves is the pinnacle of boxing in South Africa. So, I mean, I don't see boxing being in a bad space. I think it's in quite a strong stance at the moment. And yeah, there's a lot of up-and-coming fighters that are looking really, really good. Some crossed over from MMA, others just pedigree boxing, amateur backgrounds.
How important do you think it is to have different promotions, even at some point, some to be good, some to be bad? I remember like we were watching, I don't know, one of the boxing shows, because there's quite a few promotions, but like maybe like one of the Sunday afternoon kind of shows, and there was like, it was completely crazy. Like the whole scene was crazy. The walkout was like weird, and then the guys got in the cage, or the ring, and there's a problem with the dude's shoes. So like just took his shoes off, and then there were like other dudes like, well, you're gonna have to take your shoes off now. And like, well, fuck,
watch that one,
you know what I'm talking about? Like it was
a mess.
And and you see things like that, and you're like, oh, what the fuck's going on in boxing? Like, what are you doing? But then the boxing is actually really good. Like, there's obviously these things are gonna happen, especially for sport like boxing, because it's so like accessible to almost anybody. You know what I mean? Like anybody can access boxing in some form or another all around the country. So it brings guys from all over the country. And I know like the Eastern Cape is quite like a big breeding ground, and you get guys from like not so good backgrounds that come into the sport and they want to make a name for themselves. But there's a platform, is what I'm getting to. Like there's always going to be a platform provided, which is.
There's gyms. There's boxing South Africa. There's a lot of amateur gyms all over the place. They're different provinces. Also with Nelson Mandela being an avid boxing fan and boxer himself, it really pushed the youth of South Africa towards boxing, and that love and that passion for it. So yeah, you've got a lot of boxing gyms all over South Africa, and a lot of really, really talented guys sort of just waiting to be seen.
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, the more promotions, the better. You might just find that rising star somewhere.
Boydie, talk us through the whole boxing idea. How this all, when you were like, okay, well, I'm done with the UFC now, for now, allegedly, I'm gonna turn to boxing. Like, how did that all come about, and how long ago did it kind of start?
So I've been boxing as a pro now. October's 2 years, or close on 2 years, and it was pretty much just a decision we made when training out of FFM with Rich. I said to him, I'd really like to go and do some boxing sparring. I miss it. I came from an amateur boxing background before I went into MMA at 21. And I've always loved boxing. I've always been passionate about the sport, and I love the art of it. My striking in the UFC and in MMA, I would like to say, is from boxing, or mainly from boxing. Richie just added in a little bit of the legs, knees, elbows, so it gave me a variety of tools to use. And I always enjoyed the striking aspect of MMA, but I love the art and the striking art of boxing a lot. And it started pretty much, we started going through to Colin Nathan's gym in Glen Hazel, and I was just doing some sparring rounds with the guys there. They were kind enough to let me join in, do a few rounds with the guys, and I got to spar with guys like René Liebenberg, who were right at the top of the game, Warren Hubert, Rourke Knapp. And the guys had said to me, why don't you give boxing a shot? And at that stage, it was sort of like an inside joke. Why don't you sort of do a McGregor Mayweather type vibe? We actually looked at it, and the more I trained and the more I got into the boxing and the idea in my head, I thought, geez, maybe I could give this a go. And that was when René Liebenberg said, listen, you're one of the most difficult guys for me to spar with. Why don't you just try it out? So, I took to getting my license and had my first pro fight.
Awesome. What were the things that you encountered were difficult? I know we spoke about it briefly. The adjustment to your conditioning was a bit different because it's the round times and the length of rounds, and how difficult was it to negate those kind of things?
So at first it wasn't too bad. I mean, my first fight was a 4-rounder, and my second fight was a 6-rounder, so that was pretty chilled. And my next 2 fights after that were 12-rounders, which was quite new because it was difficult to get the boxing commission to sign it off and allow someone that's only had 2 pro fights to fight a 12-rounder. But they let me fight for the WBA Pan-African title in my 3rd fight, and I defended in my 4th fight. When I'd done that, they gave me my first international from Kazakhstan, and that was a draw. And then I fought the semi-final of the Super 4, which I won. So I've had 6 fights going for my 7th now in about 2.5 weeks. And it's obviously been a massive change conditioning-wise, in the sense that you're focusing on one aspect of the game. You're focusing on just your boxing, where before we had to do our wrestling, our jits, judo, MMA, Muay Thai, boxing. So there was a whole sort of structure that was in place for that kind of conditioning, and then we still had our strength and conditioning that we needed to do, our runs that we needed to do. So it's a little bit more relaxed now that you can focus on one aspect.
Sure.
But you miss others.
Can you would you say you can gain more ground because you every session is dedicated to XYZ as opposed to?
I think and obviously taking this with a pinch of salt, my boxing has increased tenfold. But you go back into the MMA ring, it's a different story. It's a different range. It's a different timing. There's different weapons that you need to worry about. You can't bob and weave the same way that you can in a boxing match. You're going to end up eating a head kick or a knee, or you're going to get taken down because you're standing in the pocket. So the angles are different, the range is different, timing is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's still a fight.
One of the things when I was speaking to you on the weekend, as luck would have it, very soon after we spoke, a picture popped up with Brian Mitchell and Soulja Boy. I think they were talking about you, which I found quite funny because Brian Mitchell was not a big fan of this cage fighter in the boxing ring for quite some time. You think you've won him over now?
I'm hoping so. Yeah. I mean, we've had a few conversations, and he made sure that I understood that it was nothing personal. He was just calling the fighters. He saw it. And I think we've now made a bit of leeway, and we're starting to understand each other a little bit more. And the boxing world is still very new to me in the sense that I've only had 6 fights, and it's a very different atmosphere compared to the MMA world. So I'm still sort of proving to everybody that I can, stick with the top dogs, and I'm still proving to myself that I'm able to do that. And I'm not just looking at just South African fighters, I'm looking internationally as well.
Sure. What are the kind of people you picture yourself fighting internationally, like getting a couple of wins and titles? Because there's many a title in boxing. You can have 100 by the time you're done.
There's a lot of titles in boxing, but I've currently got the WBA Pan-African, and I'm going to try and stick with that belt. So if I can go for the WBA Intercontinental title and hopefully an international title, and thereafter a world title. So I think the WBA is a good place to be. And if if timing allows, then maybe a WBC. Go for the big belts and test myself there.
Fantastic. So MMA is off the cards completely for the foreseeable future.
No, I didn't say that.
Because that's what the very next question is going to be, people. When will we see Boyd competing again? What would it take to get you back, like into the EFC, for example?
Look, I think my biggest downfall with the EFC as a promotion was I wasn't fighting often enough.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of fighter that stays in shape. I'm active every day. I train every day. Also, we know we've got a limited amount of time to do this, and if you love the sport the way I do, you want to do it as often as possible. So that was the main reason for the switch over, was to be more active, get more fights, which boxing has done. They gave me 3-4 fights in 1 year. They kept me active, they kept me on my toes, and they kept me training, sometimes with as little as 3 weeks in between fights. So in MMA, I was waiting 6 months for a fight, 8 months for a fight, fighting once a year. So it was a little bit of a difficult period for me because I really wanted to compete. And my body was taking a lot of damage. I had a few injuries that I needed to nurse. And
Took a lot of damage in Russia as well.
Yeah, popped my knee, tore my elbow, cracked my orbital, stitches, broken nose, whatever it is. One fight in Russia. Thanks for coming.
The Russians don't mess around, boy. Hey, they don't play games there in Russia.
No.
Boy, you can put that glass on the table. You don't have to hold it. Yeah. So, what would be the deal then? What would get you out of bed in terms of MMA? Because it's quite funny you say that, because from the time you left, the division just kind of also went null. Like, it was the same kind of story. I mean, Iga Cabeza, when last did Iga Cabeza fight? You know what I mean? He had the Danny Henry, and then
You and Iga was scheduled to fight though, just before you made the switch, eh?
Twice. Once when I was in America at American Top Team. Obviously just wanted to enjoy my training camp there, do my thing, enjoy the experience, not have to cut weight, etc.
Sure.
So yeah, I declined.
Can't
the fight
cut weight
there.
in America on holiday. It's just not possible.
So yeah, and also it was a learning experience. I was learning from a lot of different fighters and different fighting styles. That was actually where I learned and sort of picked up the calf kick for the first time, seeing Martin van Staden and Santiago go at it in sparring. Realized how devastating the calf kick would be, and when I came back, the Iga fight was off the cards, but the Calamari fight wasn't, and that was the first time I got to use the calf kicks, and it paid dividends. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to get back into MMA one day, once my career slows down in boxing, and yeah, maybe test myself 5 or 6 fight contract type of thing.
5 or 6 fights. So.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What do you think? What do you think about the EFC now? Are you in a certain way, not to be like, look at me, I'm now with boxing and you guys over there, but you think, looking in hindsight now with the situation, boxing's, I mean, you're on the doorstep of fighting again. Do you think it was the right decision?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been a good change for me. I think I needed that. Just in general in my personal life, I think it's been a really good, challenging experience, and it's taught me a lot. And with regards to the EFC, I think they need to get the ball rolling again, get guys on the card that pull crowds and put on exciting fights, and look after the guys financially. I mean, we were really well looked after in the beginning, and I think they need to get back to that and start to put on exciting shows, get some big names in there. For example, Gareth Soldier Boy versus Jeremy Smith, for an example, that pulled the crowd. The crowd loved it, and it was South African versus South African. The guys aren't really too interested in an international coming over and fighting one of the local guys because they don't know anything about that person.
Yeah, we've spoken about that quite extensively. Like, it's
Take it back to being EFC Africa for a little bit.
Yeah, I think the focus needs. Well, I mean, we're just a couple of dummies, as most people will tell you, but I think the whole international experiment didn't pay off. I think a lot of guys came here, bounced, got the wins they needed, got the exposure they needed. I was thinking about this a few days ago. It's actually incredibly sad when you look at the talent that we got here, that are like, even at a time like this, even without COVID, at how stuck they are with nowhere to go. You look at the list of guys that came here there were guys that were really competitive. that went on to do good things. There were guys that were averagely competitive that are still getting picked up. You know what I mean? A whole list of guys that came in essence made a name for themselves here and are now competing with Bellator and UFC and Brave internationally, and our guys are kind of just sitting tight. You know what I mean? Like, for one, as a fighter, that's got to be extremely frustrating because you're doing all your hard work here. You know, there's a long list of guys that could be competing at the same level, that have beaten these guys, in fact. You know what I mean? Not getting that Bellator contract purely based on because of where they are.
Yeah.
Or not getting that Brave contract or that UFC contract and so on. So, you know, I think in my personal opinion, I think the EFC was trying to become attractive to the UFC, if that makes sense. They said, look at this international organization we've built.
Yeah.
But I think the UFC was looking at the African continent and looking for African fighters, you know what I mean? I think we all misunderstood what was going on there, you know. So even for me, I was like, well, fuck, this is going to become an international organization. That's great, you know. But I don't think there was the right way to go. I think we should have been sourcing guys from the Cameroon and from Ghana and from Mozambique and the Congo and Namibia and so on and so on.
They're all showing up in the UFC now.
Exactly. I think, look, it's not too late. I'm not saying it's too late, but I think that has to be the focus. And again, it does come down to a financial thing. I mean, you know, the finances are not. It's not easy to go and put your body on the line like that for sticks.
No, I mean, you take a lot of damage in an MMA fight, and you put yourself through really tough, grueling camps. So you want to be paid accordingly. I mean, guys do not even a quarter of the work in the corporate world, and they make millions.
Yeah.
So I mean, from a physical point of view, we're putting in the work. So you pay us properly. We're not asking for millions, but we want to be paid properly.
100%. What was your hardest MMA fight to date? Besides the Russian I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I think one of my most difficult was Danny Henry, Don Madge, and Leon Maynard. I think those were probably my top three most difficult fights, stylistically and just from a mental point of view. You know, a lot of short notice. Don and Leon were both short notice fights. Danny Henry, not a short notice fight, fought with a pretty tough injury to deal with, and just didn't go my way with the Danny Henry fight either.
Yeah, but he also, I remember him saying that he'd rather get knocked out than deal with you again. To just take shots from all over the place non-stop.
Yeah, he's a warrior, man. He's a super tough guy to fight, and actually a really nice guy. We mates now, and we chat when we get the chance or when we see each other. Same with Callum Murray. So I think fighting does bring people closer together in that sense. I've never really had a grudge match or fight against somebody that I dislike.
As much as they try to evoke some sort of...
My favorite was that old video filmed on the cell phone where they were trying to negotiate you and Demar to fight.
Dude, please YouTube that thing. Please go find that thing. That is one of the most cringeworthy videos I've seen in my life. And Graham's like, what was he trying to say? He's like, money is not a problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, what are we doing here?
At the end of the day, what did they offer you guys to fight each other?
I can't even remember. I think it was just an increase from both sides of our purses. And I mean, it was inviting in the financial sense, but you train with the guy every single day. You work to improve.
Yeah.
You get better and better because of each other. And now you're going to go and fight each other.
And it's not like an international gym where you've got enough guys to split a camp.
Yeah, exactly.
That, and also the division wasn't that empty.
Yeah.
There were other guys for Demart to fight, and there were other guys for me to fight. And, Demart was considerably a small featherweight at that stage. Not that he was a small athlete at all.
Yeah, you have to go deep into the archives, boy. Deep into the archives.
But I mean, him and I both decided we weren't gonna do that, and we said to the crowd and to the fans, if you want to see us fight, come watch the sparring.
Yeah, it's like literally just come to the gym. But funny enough, maybe two lesser competitive guys would have made a little gentleman's agreement. You could have got a script together. I mean,
screw the bookies.
Yeah, would have been pretty cool. I know your similar teammates on the amateur scene had a similar problem in the All Africas in KZN in the beginning of the year.
Ray and
Tim.
That sucks. But you also went ahead and kind of ruined the lightweight division in the EFC because that fight, Leon was scheduled to fight
Dave
Don.
Mazzani, I think it
Oh,
was.
Dave Mazzani.
Yeah, he got staph infection.
And you took a non-title fight on, what was it?
Yeah,
Couple
so
weeks notice?
the UFC had said to me, look, we want you to fight Leon Maynard. I think it was on about 2.5, 3 week notice. I'd been training, so I wasn't out of shape. It meant I didn't have to cut weight or as much weight fighting at lightweight. And yeah, I thought it would be a good challenge for me. And they said, cool, we're going to do a 5-round non-title fight. And I said, if we're doing 5 rounds, then it's a title.
Yeah.
And they said,
for
cool,
sure.
we're not putting a title on, so then I'm not fighting 5 rounds. You know, there's no point putting your body through that for nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we did it. We had a 3-round fight. It was a good fight and managed to get the W at the end of it.
Oof.
So, yeah, I kind of messed things up a little bit there for the lightweight.
So it was from their side they didn't want that title fight because you went ahead and won.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, well, this kind of means Boyd's the lightweight champion.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, we hear that Leon's got the belt, but he just beat the brakes off of him.
yeah, I mean, it was a really tough fight mentally. Leon had a massive reputation.
Yeah.
He's one of the best strikers in the UFC, and I really wanted to prove a point in that fight and show people what my striking capability was. So
And then Anton
There's,
comes out and pulls out this
yeah,
photo.
beautiful photo.
Tougher than old boots, old Leon. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, bust nose and still wanted to carry on. A smile on his face.
Crazy dude. He's also like a SA MMA throwback. I don't think we'll see many more like him
I think
again.
he's fighting bare knuckle now in the States.
I think he fought once.
They didn't pay him.
Yeah, I think that organization went under. I think he went through all of that for no money, and then
Oh, wow.
that was done. Him and I think Jay Cuccinello as well. Jay Cuccinello got stitched up like Chucky, and
I saw that.
I don't think he got paid for that.
Nah, it's bare knuckles, no joke.
Definitely not for me, eh, boy? Definitely not for me. Look, it can't get much worse, bro. Definitely not getting involved in that. Thank you. You can also put him to my shop on a Friday if you really want to. You know, we can maybe throw a few bucks if you really want to check it out.
Or Rocky style.
Yeah, you know. Buddy, I guess the next topic of conversation is your fight coming up. Boxing's back, thank the Pope. It's starting to all return back. Tough opponent faced before. A lot of the boxing world thought that maybe you didn't win that fight. Just talk us through the first fight and how the preparation's been for the next one.
I mean, the first fight was a tough one. Brandon says comes from a family of boxers, accomplished boxers. So I mean, he's grown up in that environment, and he was quite comfortable in there. And I was still trying to sort of find my feet in the boxing ring and get comfortable. I'd been training at that stage twice a week for boxing at Collins Gym, so I wasn't doing it as a full-time sort of career. And I think the fight taught me a lot in the sense of preparation. I had to start putting in the hours, and I started doing that. And I believe that I've picked it up quite a bit, and it's going to show on the night.
What was the feeling like when you? I mean, like we said, the boxing community didn't exactly open their arms up and give you a big hug when you arrived. To go through a tight decision and then getting like a bit of discrediting, like some people saying, yeah, he definitely didn't win that fight and stuff like that. Look, I mean, I definitely couldn't say. I definitely don't know enough about boxing scoring to say. I mean, obviously in my book it was clear-cut win for Boyd Allen. You know what I mean? Like, but you've got to listen to guys that know more than you and what they're saying. I guess that's the whole thing. So what is it like to deal with that? Is it just a confidence thing? You're like, well, I know what I did.
Yeah, I think I knew that I'd probably taken the earlier rounds, from a point of view, and he turned it up in the later rounds and started to put on the pressure. But I think I'd done enough in the earlier rounds just to take the win. It was a split decision win, but I was happy enough to defend a title and keep that in my fourth fight. So I've done some things that a lot of boxers in South Africa haven't. And I think with regards to the boxing community not really sort of opening their arms up towards me, yes and no. There were a lot of guys in the boxing community that were super cool with me. They really wanted me to do well, and there was a lot of guys that were kind of going, well, let's check him out, let's see what he's got.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's still the case. I haven't been doing this for a long time at all, and I'm going up against guys that have been doing it their whole lives. So
Sure.
Yeah, there's a question mark above my head, but I think that makes it an exciting fight to watch.
Sure. Rocky, we've lost the the heir apparent's
Yeah.
gone AWOL again. So the whole setup was like a 4-man tournament. Am I right? It was
Yeah.
four. It was 4 guys, eh?
Yeah, the Super 4.
So it was like an instant kind of semi-final scenario.
Yeah.
And as the fight gods would have it, you guys get to do it again.
Yeah.
A bit of like maybe kind of squash out
Any
the
doubt.
realities. What's I mean, he's obviously going to be a little bit different. The one thing about all of this which makes it very interesting is that you've both had to deal with this weird kind of scenario because it was put out, then put out, then put out, then put out, on top of like weird training kind of situations and improvising and stuff like that. I think that's going to have an effect at all.
Yeah, I think the lockdown sort of will show who's been disciplined and who hasn't. You know, I love my training, whether it's for a fight or not. I'm active and I'm doing my thing. So, yeah, it hasn't been a bad sort of period for me at all. I think at most we maybe didn't get in as many sparring rounds as what we probably would have, having it not been COVID. But other than that, no real difference. Still got in all my strength and conditioning, my pad work, did my thing. So yeah, I'm feeling strong and feeling fit, and I think that's always been where I've lacked in the past. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite interested to see where I'm at now when I step in there.
That's yeah. Warren hadn't seen that fight until recently. I was like,
What?
Yeah.
Don versus Boyd.
I said to him, I was like, that must be. We were talking about best fights we had seen in the UFC. I was like, top of the list has to be Boyd versus Tyson. He's like, I don't think I've seen that one. What?
It's like if there's one
Wow.
fight you have to watch in the UFC, I think that's it.
Yeah, she's.
That fight it was a draw and they gave you guys both your win
Yeah.
purses, eh?
Yeah, they gave us both. We got fight of the year, and we had a win bonus each.
That's
So that's
awesome.
quite cool.
Back in the day when there were still win bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah, jeez.
Don't shake your head at me, Rourke.
That's sad.
Speaking of win bonuses, the word on the street that there's quite a sum of money to be won.
Yeah, look,
in your next fight.
They're blowing it up a little bit. I mean, I saw in one of the papers they put out their 1.8 million rand prize money.
I was like, sure.
It's not
That
the case.
Apex facility is gonna get a fat upgrade.
Going from white hats to
End
gold
of
hats,
October,
boys.
boy.
Nah, well,
Yeah.
I think in total, with the semi-finals and finals, all 4 purses combined is 1.8 million.
Okay.
So we both got, or we the 4 of us each got 200 for the first fight. The winner of the final gets
I
450.
hope there's no distant friends and relatives listening to this and be like, "Ooh, boy
No,
just
look,
cashed in a
look,
check."
It's out there, so I mean, it's all over for people to read and see. But I mean, you win, you get 450. You lose, you get 300. So combined total, if you win both fights, is 650.
Okay.
1.8 million for
The total
the 4
tournament.
the 4
Okay.
fighters. So yeah, it's not 1.8 million rand
How
just
long-
for the winner.
How long would it take you to earn that in the EFC?
Few years, fighting once a year. Yeah, I suppose if I was more active, then maybe more 3-4 fights.
Okay. So that's I think that's always a sign of the health of a sport, especially like, I mean, you guys are not fighting on an international market. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very localized market. For that kind of money, it's still good money to be thrown
Yeah,
around.
I mean,
you know?
boxing's got deep roots in South Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been going for a long time, and they've got money behind it. You know, I mean, it's a government sport, so yeah, it is backed, and the purses are better. And not necessarily why I compete in boxing and not MMA. I just wanted to test myself in a different sport.
But you didn't arrive at boxing earning these purses.
No.
You
I
are
built myself up. Yeah.
Because I remember you said the like your first fight was substantially less than this tournament, for
it was
example.
less than in most of the fights in the UFC. I think my first fight was 20,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's coming from a background of 21 professional MMA fights where I fought for decent sized purses.
Yeah.
So it was quite a substantial cut. But like I said, I didn't fight for the money. I wanted to
Sure.
test myself in the game.
Sure.
So
Okay. And just the date of that fight, buddy?
10th of October
10th of October.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at Carnival.
at Empress Palace.
Emperors.
Yeah.
Sorry, Emperors. Carnival.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Carnival's
going to be
there.
much of a crowd. I think they're allowed 250 people max.
Oh, so there's actually going to be spectators.
Small crowd. But
Oh,
I
because
think-
they've changed the level now, so they can
Yeah,
have.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, there'll be a few 250, but it's still not a lot considering you've got the entire super sport staff, the Golden Glove staff, the medics, that kind of thing. So you've got all the fighters in their corners.
And it's a box and down kind of setup again, I would assume.
Not really. It's in the theatre at Empress Palace.
Okay.
So the ring is just below the stage, and it's kind of got that stadium effect like Carnival City, which is quite cool.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So if some guys are interested, there's a chance they could maybe get a ticket.
Yeah, tickets I think just for a normal seat are pretty expensive, going at 1,000 rand for a freestanding seat.
Oh, that's how. Well, someone's got to get that purse money, boy.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if there's even any tickets available still.
Okay,
to be honest.
Very cool, but it'll be on SuperSport, I'm sure.
It'll be live on SuperSport.
What do you think it's going to be like having to fight in front of such a small crowd? Obviously, used to fighting packed out carnivals and your previous boxing fights.
Yeah, I think for me it's different because I don't necessarily feed off of the crowd's energy too much. I'm sort of focused on what I need to do, and I love the support. Don't get me wrong, but it's not what I need to perform. Whether there was a crowd or not, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight hard.
And you're with the Smiths now full time.
Yes.
What's that been like? Because it's quite a stable there at the moment. I mean, they've always had a good stable.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of like-minded young guys in the same kind of scene. I'm sure Kevin's got a fight coming up pretty soon. Or
I think Kevin will probably fight next year. Rowan Campbell's in December.
Yeah. Chris is.
So I'm with Peter Smith, and the two brothers, Peter Smith and Sean Smith, don't work together in the same gym.
Yeah.
Sean Smith is at Move in Sunninghill, and Peter Smith is at Cedar Square. And they've got their own teams. So two of their fighters might possibly compete against each other. One of my teammates from Peter Smith's gym, Keaton Gomes, and then Sean's student, Chris Thompson, could see each other in the final, depending on how things go. Which, at the end of the day, I think they both understand that they're there to fight, and they want to fight the best opponents. And if they are in the final together, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's quite I mean, I know we were laughing about them trying to convince you and Demar to fight, but it's like we're looking at the situation now with like Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, and I think automatically you've been kind of bred to believe that that's going to be it's just going to cause animosity, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No, I also think putting down the sort of right circumstances before the fight makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
To go and fight somebody that you train with and work with every day for almost you're sort of not a noteworthy purse is a different story. But when you're making millions of dollars to fight each other, then smile and punch each other in the face because you're going to do it in training anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I don't think there's any bad blood when it comes to that kind of thing, because they're both just increasing their standard of living.
And also just to know that it's not this is not a personal thing. It's like this is the sport. We're in the same weight class, and this is what we're the best. So this is what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And I even for myself, when they announced Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman, I'm like, oh, that's going to cause problems. But everyone just decides, okay, cool, you go that way, you go that way. Henry Hoof's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
You guys know what to do. You don't need me. You guys carry on, and once this is done, we'll all go back to normal. And
I think
it's
that's
actually
really
quite
cool
refreshing
for a coach as well, to have his two athletes compete at the highest level.
Sure.
It's something to be proud of. So I think they should go for it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you obviously know each other really, really well.
Yeah.
Which is.
Well, then I wonder how you approach fighting your teammates.
Well, you know where you can and can't win.
Yeah, I think Usman's got to stay away from the ground, and Gilbert's got to try and get it there.
Yeah.
So
Jiu-jitsu, bro.
Yeah.
See how it all pans out.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you about, what's his name? Your opponent, Tace.
Brandon Tace.
Brandon Tace.
Yeah.
He looks remarkably like Mark Hume.
Yes, we've said it a few times.
Is that weird at all?
It is a little bit.
You have to remind yourself that it's not Mark Hume.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, it's not. Mark's walking to Cape Town.
Yeah, so that's pretty much.
Is that where he's walking to? Someone asked me, what is the end destination?
Walking to Cape Town, yeah.
May the force be with him.
Yeah.
Where is he now? I haven't checked in for a while.
No, I'm not sure. Jeez.
Check in for us there, Rock. Let's see where he is.
Yeah.
The last time I saw was Kimberley. It's a long way to go.
Sure.
It's a very long way to go.
Lucky.
Good luck. Fight Island coming up.
Yeah.
Excited about that one.
Yeah.
What do you think about Adesanya vs Costa?
Sure, I like Adesanya's style. Costa's a machine. Like, I don't know if they've passed any of the urine tests. But, I mean, and I say Costa, I mean, that cannot be a natural athlete. There's no way. Come on.
But he's being tested. Like he actually even made a joke about it on his Instagram the other day. Like, finally USADA's here, like just taking the piss, no pun intended. You know. But yeah, it's very hard to believe that he's like that on the natch, unless he's, you know, like they talk about that Russian wrestler, what is his name, Krillin, and like there's a big portion of the combat world that think that he was possibly a Russian experiment. Like they did some things to that guy, like he was an absolute animal. I think he went like 280 something and 2 as a wrestler. He was just an absolute
from
animal.
A skill set point of view, Adesanya is levels above Costa, but I mean, you got to deal with that size human coming towards you non-stop, not slowing down, and he just tees off every chance that he gets. It's going to be a good fight.
What's crazy to me is automatically when you look at Costa, you're like, there's no ways this guy can do this for long amounts of time. But against Yoel Romero, he did slow down. He definitely did slow down.
He slowed down.
But he's still carrying immense amounts of power and immense output for a very long time. It's actually scary.
For a guy carrying that amount of muscle mass, it's not normal.
Some might say EPO, but not
he's
me.
clean. He's clean. He's a clean athlete.
He's definitely clean.
Natural.
He's definitely on the match. But how does that dude cut weight? Is that's what really like it baffles me.
She cuts his limbs off.
I don't understand how he cuts weight, because he's what's it, 185 pounds. He must be well over 220 in that range.
Yeah, and he picks up a lot after his fights. I mean, he gets big.
It's crazy. It's very, very crazy.
Yeah, shit.
And I'm a big fan of the shirts he wears.
You as Israel, how would you go about beating Costa? Someone that physically gifted.
You just got to hit and move. And
for 5 rounds.
You cannot stand in front of the guy.
Yeah.
Because, one punch is going to catch you. So you got to just hit, move, be smart, pick him apart, and hopefully damage him. I mean, that's the nice thing with the MMA gloves. You can close the guy's eyes pretty quickly with jabs, get 1 or 2 little cuts under the eyes, and hopefully, distort his vision a little bit, and then you start to pick him apart and open up a little bit. Work the body, work the level changes. Don't let him get on top of you.
Yeah. Sounds easy.
Yeah.
Sounds easy. I think it's going to be one of those fights. I think that in my head, the way I see it going down, like you're going to have 2 rounds of, or maybe even 3 rounds of Adesanya very tentative on the outside, like lots of leg kicks, lots of jabs, stick a move. I do see him having to face some sort of adversity at some point. Like he's going to get caught with something. He has to. Like big body shot to the head. Something's going to happen. Like he's going to get caught. I mean,
that's what fighting's about.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting one.
I'm very stoked for that fight. It's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
ridiculous.
We saw Israel take that shot from Yoel, and he was fine. So I mean, I don't know how. I'm sure Costa hits harder, but hopefully he can take it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point, Rocky. He did eat a monstrous overhand. Yeah. But like the thing is with
some big guys in glory.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is with Costa is like once he feels like he has you in a corner, it's never one shot. You know, like he offloads. Like it's crazy. Yeah. Like I've seen some of those. I think it was against Uriah Hall. Some of those body shots, like a right hook to the body. It just I get water in my eyes just looking at it. I'm like, oh, sweet lordy, that's gotta hurt. But my boy's definitely on the natch, dude. Did you see them
on that natural product?
Yeah, he's on the natch, bro. He's been visiting Clean Juice with TJ, your boy.
Don't be horrible.
TJ's nearly back, boy.
Not long, eh?
This was quite funny. Did you see this video of them like sizing each other up? For sure, go to the English version.
Doesn't play.
That's just go to like the UFC or.
Does this say secret supplements?
Yeah, he's does a lot of funny stuff like this.
Oh wow. Where's this on the
Go
UFC
to like
page?
the UFC's Instagram. They like bumped into each other as they arrived at the hotel. They were like feeling each other. They're like, oh, you're not so skinny. Not, eh?
Nope.
UFC Europe, maybe? Gonna go up.
What is one? Is this UFC Europe? No, it's not. Nope.
Go down a little bit more. Okay, for sure. Then go to MMA Junkie.
We have some.
Should have just gone there on Insta, is what I was saying. But anyway,
Sorry.
whatever works. My man Khabzat with the G-Wagon. How many? He's won 3 straight bonuses, eh?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's $150,000 in a couple of months.
There we go.
Yeah, here. Check. Please don't be loud.
Please don't be loud.
Please don't kick us off. There's a
He's small
how
compared to this, okay.
thick is Costa compared to him, dude? It's crazy.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. Middleweight versus heavyweight.
Hey,
How hard do you think it would be for Cost Izzy to make welterweight? Is it off the cards?
oh yeah,
Too tall.
yeah, dude. I think it's just too much frame there.
What was it like? What weight do you cut fights at boxing?
It's super welter or junior middle. And
Okay.
it's 69.85, so it's almost like lightweight in MMA.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
70 kilos, yeah.
What was it like? Obviously, you're quite a tall guy. What was it like having to cut for featherweight?
It was horrible. No, I didn't enjoy it. I was like a little zombie, skinny little zombie. Rich used to tease me all the time. Probably my worst part of the weight cut was listening to him chirp me while I was in the sauna.
If you were to make a comeback, would it be back at featherweight or you move up?
Yeah, I think it would probably be at lightweight. Not cutting too much weight. I don't walk around, it's too far from weight, maybe 73, 74 kilos max.
Yeah.
Maybe after a rough sort of weekend of eating what I want, then 75 kilos. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty close to weight, and I think it's good for the body not to cut too much weight.
Yeah.
I think weight cuts can take a lot out of a fighter and hamper your performance badly.
Mm.
Well, I think it's something, if you're not cutting a lot, you can repeat often enough,
Yeah.
Whereas if you're cutting large amounts, you need that break.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if you're cutting a lot, that means you're rehydrating and putting a lot back on, which means you're not fighting as often, because it's not good for the body to do that up and down over a period of 5 to 8 weeks.
You were in Abu Dhabi last year. How do you think like a place like that can help your weight cut? Just go
Definitely.
chill outside a little bit and
Definitely.
moving
It
around.
was the hottest atmosphere I've ever been in. I can't imagine what Don felt like fighting, because I was there,
Yeah.
and we were in the corner, we were in the change room. They had these massive air conditioners just in the change room, and then you walk out into the stadium into this heat wave. The fighter's skin, it was red.
Yeah.
That's how hot it was, and it was no joke. I mean, those guys in the second round were huffing and puffing like they had fought 4 or 5 rounds
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
So I mean, heat makes a big difference. You turn it up a degree or two, and you're in it.
Guys will ask me, they're like, how hot is it in there? I'm like, I cannot explain to you.
You're fighting in a sauna.
It is immensely hot in here. Like, I can't put a degree on it, but it's well over 40 degrees in here.
Yeah.
And like the later on it went, the worse it got. By the time it was Khabib Poirier, fuck. I was like, I don't even know. I think they might even just stop this fight from heat exhaustion.
Yeah,
like, it's just too hectic.
That stadium filled up, and it just got hotter and hotter. I mean, the air conditioning machines that they had didn't do anything.
It was
There
good
were
in
just
theory.
People standing next to it to try and get cool. The guys' shirts were dripping.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I did like 23 kilometers going from the media section to my seat,
Sure.
just up and down. Like, my shirt to the point was pointless. Like, I should just take this off.
Yeah.
There's no point in me wearing this right now.
It was crazy.
Was it like a humid heat?
Dude, the desert heat
It
is,
was desert heat.
it's like humid and dry at the same time. I can't explain to you. It's like it assaults you. Every time you walk out of the aircon, it's just like you're being assaulted by the elements. It's ridiculous. I remember getting off the plane, I was like, I don't know how people are going to fight in here. Never mind play a soccer World Cup in Qatar, my man. I don't know how that shit's going to work, but they're like, oh, we're going to do it in winter. I'm like, man, it is winter. It's 42 at night. It doesn't help. It just doesn't help. It's crazy, man. But apparently, I know after the last fight, Alan Dana was saying, is like, the thing is with these guys is you tell them it's too hot. When you come back, you have to wear a jacket inside. It's so cold. You know what I mean? They
It's true.
Gotta be careful.
yeah, they obviously made some adjustments, you know.
But there was that Aries card that was called off for heat.
In Where were they? Senegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
for
crazy.
sure, don't put your cage outside in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
That, lessons were
It's your
learned.
first mistake.
Lessons were learned. I'm pretty sure. Like, cool guys, this is gonna look so sick, and then the fight's going back. It's a little bit warm here.
Midday.
Yeah. Should we hit Boydie with some questions?
Yeah. I actually have one before we start on these ones. Where did the nickname Sneaky Boyd come from?
It was at FFM. We're grappling quite a bit on a daily basis, and sort of just to get the upper hand, I would sort of pull tricks on the guys just before the round started. Touch, go. What's that over there? Guy turns to look on him. That kind of thing, or catch him with like a sneaky submission that they didn't expect coming from a certain position. So yeah, I got the name Sneaky Boyd on the jits mat.
I tried that with Chef once. It didn't work.
Yeah, I tried it a few times. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't work.
Okay, well, I've lost all the questions. Found them. Just scroll through Warren's fan art.
Please put that up.
I'll get it up in a second.
We had a good weekend.
From Callum, not Murray. I don't know this guy's last name.
It just says Callum Boyd.
Yeah. Are fight salaries sustainable for South African MMA fighters once you've reached a level like yourself?
So, the fight purse itself, no. I think if you build your brand in a good way, you can get some really good sponsors on board and you can make a living out of it, then yes. But the purse itself, no.
Okay.
What sponsors all that? But what are the major difficulties you face as a fighter financially? I mean, like you said, your body takes a beating, but there's a lot more to that. It's sustaining that lifestyle. It's being able to train 3 times a day without having to have a job. It's all of the stuff that goes in between. The rest, recovery.
I mean, there's guys that are training full time, so 3-4 sessions a day, hard sessions, getting in their recovery, sports massage, ice baths, bio, chiro, physio, whatever the case is, oxygen chambers, supplementation, depending on what you need and when you need it, the right food, so the right fuel for the body so that you can perform in all those sessions and get through that. But if you're looking at South African athletes that can do that without having to work or without having to rely on sponsors, I don't think there's one at the moment.
Sure.
To be honest, so I think a lot of fighters will train people, teach them how to fight, clients, that kind of thing. So personal training, in that sense, in mixed martial arts, and I think with regards to guys that are working still, you might be lucky enough to have a job that you can work from home or
Sure.
just have your computer there. So I mean, we had guys that would come to the gym, do the 6 o'clock session, 7 o'clock session, get onto their computer, do a few hours of work, grapple at 11:30. They spent the whole day in the gym using the Wi-Fi, working from the gym, that kind of thing. So it is a really difficult career path as a South African sportsman, and I don't just mean fighting in general. I think there's quite a few sports out there that are suffering when it comes to finances and backing.
Sure. It's a tough situation. Very tough. I
Next.
don't know the answers. I know that people say, well, give us the answer. I don't. It needs the sport on a whole needs. I mean, like you said in the beginning, you were really well looked after because it was a financial position.
Yes.
As the sport's gone on, for whatever reason, the finances have become a lot harder.
Yeah.
So it takes money. That's what it takes. That's unfortunately where that comes from.
I think there was just a huge boom at the beginning of the EFC. Like there was a massive amount of fighters turning pro, or like guys who were quite good turning pro, and I think that's just kind of thinned out a little bit. Like that grassroots development has slowed down.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. The grassroots developments, and I mean, you see it at FFM with the kids, 70, 80 plus kids, all on the mat learning jiu-jitsu, MMA, striking. It's really cool to see, and those are your next sort of up and coming fighters that are going to go through and fight in promotions like the EFC, and hopefully go on to fight in promotions like the UFC and get some really good South African fighters out there globally. But up until the point that you don't have a feeder system, there's only a handful of guys that are going to shine,
Yeah.
only for a limited amount of time, and then they're going to be they're just going to disappear.
Yeah, you're also relying on a very small caucus of people to get those people there, because there's the amateur promotions are like under the pump all the time. And on top of that, you take a fight sport, for example, any sort of combat sport, like you always watch the kind of movies that they're like, no, like old days of karate, you can't do that, you're going to get hurt, like your mom wouldn't want to let you go. But then perhaps you shined in talent and this and that, and one thing led to another, and then there was like a career path. You cannot sit in South Africa and be easily convinced that MMA is a great career path. You can't do it, because all we talk about is how bad the pay is. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you're really speaking the truth, and I think the promotions know it, we're not saying anything bad about any promotion, you cannot be a full-time fighter on the purses alone.
No.
Like, unless you got really good sponsors that will back you for a period of time and understand what you need to do on a daily basis, that it's not just, to show face at one of the sort of open days or whatever the case is.
Sure.
I mean, you sweating day in and day out for a period of time for a fight camp, and then you might have a week off or so, after the fight, just to let the body relax and that kind of thing. And even in that time, you still, fighters in general in this country are still working. So, I mean, it's really difficult to chase a career in sports. And like I said, not just fighting.
Yeah, it's not just fighting. Well, take Cameron Simon, for example. He's a really great example, because unlike maybe your sort of generation, there was, like, it was a boom and things were going quite crazy. Take a guy like Cameron Simon, who knows very well what's in front of him. He knows two things. He's never going to make the living he wants out of the EFC, and he's never going to spend the rest of his career in the EFC. He knows that quite well, and you can see that. He knows he wants to notch up as many fights as he can, as quickly as he can, get a record as good as he can, and move on. You know what I mean? Because he is this protege that everyone's now watching, and he's handling his business really well, and he's approaching it all in the right way. He knows he's not going to make a pile of money here, and he knows that this is not where he wants to stay. And I think that's the key. I mean, I think we spoke about this the last show. Like, the EFC, you have to take that as your platform, use it to your advantage, and understand. You signed the contract. You know what I mean? You knew what you were going to get paid. To turn around and then say, I want this and want that, and I never got paid, and I don't want to fight because I'm not getting offered the money. Like, but you got into that knowingly. You know what I mean? You knew what was coming, especially now, and I mean in the last, let's say, 2 years or 18 months or whatever. The guys knew what was happening, what was in front of them, But I do understand their frustrations, but you have to, and I think Don said it quite a few times as well. He's like, you become the champion of the EFC, then now what? You know what I mean? Like, that's not the end of the road. If that's the end of your road, then that's fine. Like, that's the path you follow, it's cool. But you have to use that platform and jumpstart yourself, I think that's massively, massively important for youngsters.
Agreed.
Okay, this one's from Justin. Your last fight was over a year ago. How much has your game changed since then, under Smith's guidance?
So, sure. It almost was a year ago. My last fight was November 2019. So, nearly a year. I think I've improved quite a bit with regards to my fighting style and just being more boxing orientated. So I moved a lot like an MMA fighter still for a long period of time, and boxing is different. It's like I said, different range. You don't need to move as much. Not that I've changed much with regards to the way I move. There's just certain aspects of the game that I've adapted to boxing and to being more comfortable in the ring as opposed to in the cage.
How different is the movement, for example, like as opposed to MMA versus boxing? Like you said, you were still moving a lot like an MMA fighter.
I think you've got so many weapons that you need to watch out for in MMA. So you need to be quite sharp when it comes to reading a kick coming your way, or hiding a kick with the hands and then hiding a takedown with the hands, and setting up certain submissions. There's different ways that you see certain things, and in boxing it is one way, and that's just how it is. you know, and there are the phenoms in boxing like Vasily Lomachenko who defy all the rules, and I think he's been given that freedom by his dad from a young age to sort of move the way he wants to and be the way he wants to, and I think that's kind of my thing as well. You know, I think Rich said it best when I fought Leon Maynard for the first time. I said, Rich, I want to take the fight. It's a short notice fight, but I want to fight him, you know, with my hands a little bit low. I'm quite comfortable like that. And he said, if that's how you're comfortable, then fight him with your hands down. And it worked. It paid off. But not to say that's going to work well in every scenario, and definitely not boxing. So, I mean, yeah, we've had to make quite a few adjustments. We worked a lot on my gas tank, so I'm quite confident in that, and I'm looking to test that come 10th of October.
Nice.
Oh, excuse that. That was...
The chair,
I was like, I'll do it again, but it's not going to work now.
Also from Justin, is the new Apex Gym location open for business? How much of your time has been taken up from your fight camp setting it up?
Yeah, look, like I said earlier, we didn't spend too much time in the lockdown, you know, getting things ready. We were quite kind of lucky with regards to having a long period of time to set up. So we would do things every day, every second day, just slowly as, you know, as time went by. So it was quite a nice slow process, and we got to do things the right way. So it didn't take anything away from my training. I still put in all the hours, if not more, during lockdown than before, because we just weren't allowed to do certain things. We weren't allowed to train clients and that kind of thing. So I had a lot of free time to work on myself.
Nice. This one is from Ishmael. What is your current pound for pound ranking?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand the question. He's basically, I think he's kind of trying to ask your pound for pound ranking in boxing. Maybe where do you see yourself?
Sure.
Because I don't think there's no really ranking system in.
I think that there's different rankings with regards to different belts. But
See if you can find that, maybe, Rocky.
I'm ranked, I think, number 1 in South Africa, and that's South African citizens with regards to the WBA Pan African belts. Other than that, I'm not too sure where I am. Yeah, on BoxRec.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, a bit difficult to find these things.
BoxRec would be the place, though, I guess. Super welter. Register as manager. That's for sure. Let's just take over there. Hey, let's just put our names there, Rock.
Managed by the BigAl podcast. Straight up.
Go back.
Any other ones here? Nope. Topology.
Come on, Topology.
Fight Metrics. I think you cracked the top. I can't remember what it was. On Fight Metrics, you cracked the top 100 featherweights at one point.
Didn't we try check Fight Metrics the other day and it bombed out?
Oh, yeah, it might be down now. No, it's back.
Hey.
That's just in 4 ways.
I honestly, that makes my week when someone's having a go at Jerks for 4 ways. It's the best shit ever.
I think out of all the local gyms, Apex for sure wins best social media.
Yeah, it's not me.
Yes,
I'm not behind it.
I cry laugh at your guys' stories sometimes.
What happened to the Fight Metrics?
It's here.
What's Boyd's rank now?
Current rank. This was your last rank. Obviously, it drops and goes up and down as you fight.
213 in the world. 141 at featherweight. Highest ranking.
2018.
Hey, Mr. Boyd Allen.
Getting there slowly.
Yeah.
Okay, so
then
he had we're not
another
entirely sure of the ranking, but
he had
definitely
another
number
question. It was, so how should a fighter handle loss, and what was the most important thing that you learned from any of the losses you had?
Yeah, so, you know, I heard quite a while ago that you only know how to really win when you know how to lose. And I've lost in my career a few times. I mean, I've got 4 losses in my MMA career. I've had a draw in the boxing. So, I mean, that was my first international from Kazakhstan. But, yeah, I think I lost 4 out of 34 amateur boxing fights. So I know how to lose, and I've been through that. Russia was a big one for me. Danny Henry was a big one for me. so it's nothing new. I think you just got to take it on the chin, and you got to just decide whether you're doing it for a win or for a loss, or you're doing it because you enjoy what you're doing and you love the sport. I think you got to take out the win and the loss completely when you're in there and just fight because that's what you want to do. If you're not truly invested in being in there, then don't step into the ring or the cage.
Yeah.
I remember Andrew Fisher, who's Carl Eleanor's coach, and he was saying, like, I mean, he in his loss to Lutando Biko, and he's like, I can tell you about those kind of fights, and I can train you to deal with those kind of fights, and we can talk about those kind of fights, but in your career you have to go through those losses to understand those kind of fights and understand that there's things you have to do, and sometimes there's things also out of your control, you know what I mean, like, and sometimes you have to be honest with yourself. Maybe you didn't show up, maybe there's something you didn't do, maybe
I think just be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You know whether you put in the
Sure.
work or whether you didn't, and even if you did put in the work, it might not show at all. You could be subbed in 15 seconds. It doesn't mean you haven't worked hard, you haven't put in the training camp, you got caught, and
Yeah.
you got to move on. You can't let it linger, and I think a lot of fighters will allow the loss to affect them. I mean, I lost to Danny Henry. I got straight back in against the title holder in the lightweight division, and I managed to pull off a win where a lot of people didn't give me the chance.
Sure.
So,
Did you ever have any loss where it like lingered on for a long time, like you struggled to deal with it?
no, not really. I think you grew up in a tough area. You learn to deal with loss quite quickly, and you can't cry over spilt milk.
Sure. I spilled some milk this morning, almost cried. I'm not gonna lie. It was 5 a.m.
Who was your toughest fight today? Like, which was the one that?
We asked this already.
No, toughest. Which was your favorite fight today? Like your favorite win?
Sure. I really enjoyed the Leon Maynard fight. My style showed quite a bit in that fight, and I loved the fight with Don. I mean, we really good mates, and we put on a really good fight. I think, I watched it maybe 10 times, and we really let it go. Like, we left it all in there, and we did our best, and we neither of us got the win or a loss. We got a draw out of it, but I think for both of us at that stage in our career, it was probably the best thing that could have happened.
Cool.
We both went on to fight for Don the lightweight title and myself the featherweight title, and we both won it.
And any of your losses, if you could run back any of your losses, who would you want to fight again?
I think Danny Henry was probably one of my most frustrating losses in that sense. I think they worked out that I didn't really enjoy the wrestling, and his coach, pushed him during the round and said, "Do not stand with this guy, wrestle him," and it just drained my gas tank completely. I wasn't able to train wrestling or even too much grappling during the fight. I had a cracked hip bone from kick from Temba Garimbo in technical sparring, and for about 2 weeks or so before the fight, all I did really was run and hit pads, because I was in quite a bit of pain and I didn't want to pull out of the fight. And that being said, I learned a lot from that. If I'm injured, I will not take a fight.
Yeah. Write
Nice.
that down, kids. Write that down. Right, Mr. Allen, the new Apex facility is now up and running.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where can people find you? How do they get in touch?
So we're pretty much in the heart of Sandton in Parkmore, in the corner of 11th Avenue and Olympia. Really cool facility. It's about 2,500 square meters, so it's really big. I don't think the photos do it justice. But you can go onto the Apex Instagram account or Facebook account. You can
Except if you're from Four Ways.
Yeah. I think most of us students are. But yeah, I mean, you can just sort of DM us or send us a message or email, and get in touch, come through, try it out, see if it's something that you'd enjoy or if it's your kind of vibe. So it's really cool. We've got the whole industrial theme going on, and we've got CrossFit Santon in there as well. So if you're into your CrossFit training and that kind of thing, we're gonna probably add in a yoga / dance Pilates studio as well for the girls. So there's something that, you know,
So if guys want to do that stuff, they have to go elsewhere. Hey?
Oh, look, the guys
So it's
can do
2020,
it.
boy. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, the guys can do it if that's what they're keen on, but we've got the boxing and jiu-jitsu classes for that.
Who's obviously the boxing stuff is hit up mostly by your brother. How hands-on are you in the facility? I know that's going to
Yes,
be.
I run quite a few classes. Like I said, I haven't really been as involved in the jiu-jitsu, but we've got Richie as our head coach. Richie Kwan's the black belt affiliate, so we haven't sort of affiliated to a Gracie Barrow or anything like that. We're affiliated to Richie, and I think, and kind of goes without saying, he's one of the, or probably the best in the country. So I'd rather be affiliated to somebody that I know and trust, and you know, can put in his time and effort.
You don't want to sip on that Gracie Barra Kool-Aid, eh?
No, I'm good.
And who will be heading up the jiu-jitsu for the most part?
So we've got a few different coaches, but Craig Toons is quite a high-level purple belt. The guys and the girls enjoy his coaching and his vibe, so yeah, I think he's probably going to be the main draw card for that. And then it's myself as well. You know, I'm still chasing my brown belt, like I was telling Rourke earlier. So I think after this fight, I'm going to give it a good sort of 6 to 8 months and try and get as far as I can and get that last little notch on my belt for the brown.
Okay.
And then it's basically a short little step to black. So you might
Yeah,
as well
just a
carry
couple
on.
of couple of
Another
years.
4 or 5 years.
Just
Yeah.
a couple of years. We'll
So-
drop in the pool.
But yeah, I mean, that's still my goal. I still want to eventually reach my black belt one day, and yeah, like I said, never close any doors.
Fantastic.
So that's confirmed. Boyd's coming back
Yeah.
soon. You heard it here
You
first.
heard it here first. The comeback is imminent.
That's awesome.
Maybe we could get Warren up to lightweight. We could have a MMA Republic condoned battle, stand up versus jiu-jitsu. As we know, as we've been told, Warren's stand up is very
Yeah, we
cut.
should actually just drop Warren a DM about the boxing classes at Apex.
Ladies classes at 5:30.
Yeah,
He's not here to defend himself, unfortunately.
yeah, and he's got no cell phone signal, so he will never know.
Nice.
Buddy, thanks so much for your time, buddy. We
Thanks, Jens.
wish you all the best on the 10th of October, is what you said.
Yeah.
I was paying
People can
attention.
catch your fight on Super Sports, eh?
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah, we will
Sweet.
definitely keep everybody updated as much as we can. But it will, I'm pretty certain it'll be on Supersport. I know the Supersport boys are big fans of boxing, so
Yeah.
they won't skip a beat there.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting. Nice to have some sort of local fighting happening, because my God, it's been dry. Because I think Alpha will be the weekend before that, and that's going to be on YouTube. I think they're the
Yes.
third.
Yeah, and they just picked up a new sponsor, like a new title sponsor, I think.
Yeah, I think. Well, we will have a little interview with Dwayne reasonably soon. That reminds me, he never got back to me, but they'll explain what's going on. But Alpha will be back
get a
very
message
soon.
now.
Yeah. Bing.
Nice.
Cool. Shot, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Shot,
Catch you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Peace.